Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see behind me, I'm kind of at work, so excuse the mess. I'm in like the showroom, but yeah, we need to sort that out. But anyway, we're going to talk about Diet Prada today, and this is actually quite a serious discussion. As you can see, I have a little setup going on there. But before I go there, it's because I posted on my Instagram recently about me liking Off-White's latest show, and then Diet Prada had their post where they said that Virgil Abloh basically copied, I think it was Givenchy Couture. So a lot of people then sent me in messages like, "Oh, see, this is why you shouldn't support Virgil Abloh. He's copied again." And I thought it was quite important to address this, especially because obviously I'm going to be studying fashion journalism in September, and I feel like it's really important I address certain things so people have a deeper understanding of kind of like how the fashion industry works from an insider's point of view, because I've worked in the industry now for like 2 years, so it's not like I'm on the outside looking in, so to speak. I kind of understand the business side of it, the logistics side, but anyway, yeah. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about Diet Prada in this video. Now, if you don't know what Diet Prada is a very famous Instagram page, and they kind of call out all the injustices that happen in the fashion industry, and yeah, they just criticize bad things that happen in the industry. And I'm definitely a big fan of that. As someone that wants to be a journalist, I feel like there is a need to be critical of people, and what I love about Diet Prada is the fact that this is an industry where everyone's a bit too touchy-feely, fake friends. The industry is a bit fake, and a lot of people don't have the, let's say, they don't have the maturity, even though a lot of the designers are like really old, like 40, 50, to understand that because someone doesn't like one specific collection doesn't mean they don't like you, or it doesn't mean they don't like your work. Like Demna Gvasalia, for example, all of us know he's an amazing designer, and all of us know he's a legend. All of us know he is very experienced, has worked at Margiela, Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga, went to the Royal Academy of Arts in Antwerp. However, I may not like one collection that he's done for Vetements. That does not mean I now think Demna Gvasalia is a bad designer, and I think that's in this industry where a lot of people are a bit immature. So it's good that a lot of people are critical, because a lot of journalists kind of stay away from being critical because they don't want to affect their pockets. And I feel like journalists, you have to have integrity as a journalist. So I love Diet Prada for that fact. Now, when Diet Prada first started, I agreed with basically everything they posted, but I think recently it's gotten to the point where it's like they have nothing to post, so they forcefully try to reach. And what I'm going to be talking about in this video is a situation in which they did reach a bit too far, and kind of like what they posted didn't make too much sense, in my personal opinion. But before people go mad, once again, just because I don't agree with this one post that Diet Prada did doesn't mean I don't agree with most of them. Like literally recently they called out a lot of like predators, some photographers in the fashion industry who were like asking models for nudes and stuff, and that is definitely something that needs to be talked about, and I'm really glad they did that and exposed those people, because that's a terrible thing they were doing. So it's not like I don't agree. I still follow them on Instagram. It's not like I don't agree with their opinions. This is just a one-off. Now the issue with Diet Prada is because it's so big and because they have a deep fan base, what normally happens with big platforms like that is if they have any misinformation, or if they badly report something, or if there isn't a lot of basis to what they're saying but they say it anyway, they're going to have a big audience of people who share the same narrative and who they're like, yeah, you're right, and then they run with those opinions and those ideas, and they start to kind of like grow an opinion of certain people or certain brands, based on what, let's say, their favorite Instagram page is saying. And I think things like this can be very detrimental to the industry because it detracts from people thinking for themselves. It detracts from telling people, yes, I said this, but go and do your own research, which is kind of what I try to do on this channel. I always tell people, just because I say something doesn't mean you have to agree with it, and it also doesn't mean that it's right. Go and do the research for yourself and then form your own opinions. And I think that is the first major problem that I have with Diet Prada. Now, to talk about the situation at hand, basically what happened was Virgil Abloh released his Fall Winter 20 collection for Off-White, which I thought was amazing. And I think Virgil Abloh, from someone who I used to be really critical about, has made a lot of solid collections recently. He had a really good last collection at Louis Vuitton, and his even the Off-White collection before this one, the menswear, was really good as well, and I really liked it. And the issue I have with fashion, once again, this is going into the issues, is that a lot of people, is almost like they can't see that someone improves. And this is when we go back into narratives, because as a narrative, Virgil Abloh, he copies every season. Now they're just going to say Virgil Abloh copies stuff even when he doesn't, and it doesn't even make sense. And I'm going to get deeper into why what Diet Prada said doesn't actually make sense. But before we go into that, what Diet Prada actually did was they posted, and I'm going to show you on the screen, a post where they contrasted a piece, a dress from Off-White, and a dress from the Givenchy Spring Summer 20 Couture collection. And they basically said that Virgil Abloh, that's where he copied it from. Now, has Virgil Abloh copied designs in the past? Yes. However, this doesn't make sense for many different reasons. First of all, just because two things look similar doesn't mean they're the same. Like, just because, like, imagine people had two jackets and people are like, oh, they copied the same jacket. It doesn't make sense. The silhouette is actually very, very different. The shape is really different from the Off-White one to the Givenchy one. Secondly, is just from working in the industry, I have started to realize how much cross-referencing there is in the industry, and how a lot of brands, their references come from kind of the same places. Let me give you a good example. The brand I work for, we kind of trend forecast with something called WGSM. So that's how you do like a lot of trend research into like what the trends are going to be at a certain time, to make sure that you also have sellable items. And a lot of brands use stuff like WGSM, obviously. So a coat that we made last year based off of trend forecasting, Loewe had something that looked like a carbon copy of it a year after we released ours. Now, you could just say, from someone on the outside looking in, you could just say, oh, Loewe copied our brand. However, our brand is a new brand, so I doubt Loewe even knows who our brand is. And when we made this jacket, our brand hadn't even come out yet, so it wasn't like the jacket was on social media for people to see. However, what was on Chloe's runway looked like a carbon copy of what we made, and we know that it's from WGSM because obviously utility, if you do your brand research, what is going to be the trend soon is a lot of utility with tailoring. So a lot of brands are focusing on that based off of trend forecasting. So it's things like this that lead to a lot of cross-referencing in the industry. So in this situation, it's more of a situation where kind of like their referencing has come from the same place. Givenchy are not going to be the first or the last people to make a voluminous dress that looks like kind of like a wedding dress. Like, I've seen so many similar dresses like that if we're going to take that same logic, we could just go to any single brand. I'm sure, literally, if I had time, I could go to any single brand from Saint Laurent to Balenciaga to any brand, pick out one piece and then go through the archives of fashion until I find something that looks very, very similar, and then say, oh, this person copied this person. We just have to realize that fashion evolves, and we do reference things from the past. So by virtue of that, and obviously the cross-referencing that comes from trend forecasting, there are going to be situations where some collections look really similar. So going back to Off-White, Another reason why it doesn't make sense that Off-White could have even copied Givenchy is because the Givenchy Spring Summer 20 Couture collection came out in January 2020. That was how many months ago? Like literally less than 2 months ago. Now, Off-White is not a fast fashion brand. So like when you design collections, especially in high-end fashion, when you have like, you're part of the fashion cycle, you have to design collections like 6, 8, 12 months in advance. So there is absolutely no way Off-White could have just repurposed their whole like kind of like design direction and been like, oh, we really like what Givenchy did in their couture collection literally last week. Let's just scrap what we've been doing and let's put all of that into production. Anyone that works into fashion knows how that is almost logistically impossible and why they just couldn't have done that. Like, it just actually doesn't make sense from a logistics standpoint. And I think one of the larger issues with this situation is just how it's almost like people like to specifically pick on Virgil Abloh and on Off-White, because I have examples with me of a lot of brands that have had a lot of cross-referencing, but no one talks about it because those aren't brands that have in the past had a reputation of copying. So I literally have a list here. So Kapital, a Japanese brand, it's growing into prominence in the current day. Now they have a piece that's really famous. It's like a bandana print, and now Kapital is like the brand that's kind of known for the bandana print. And if anyone does a bandana print, everyone's like, oh, Kapital, everyone's copying Kapital. But Loewe have been doing bandana prints for a very long time, even before we ever saw that sort of design from Kapital. So this is another, and I don't think Kapital copied Loewe because I just feel like their referencing came from somewhere even earlier. And once again, like bandanas, they're not a new thing in fashion. Like people have been wearing bandanas just in street culture, whatever. So it's not that creative to just think, oh, okay, let's put this print on jackets. But no one, you don't see Diet Prada or anyone, you know, bringing up a fuss about how, you know, Loewe copied Kapital or Kapital copied Loewe for the bandana print, yada, yada, yada. So this is just me telling you how, like, you people have to think for yourselves and not let narratives push you to believe certain things. Now, if the Givenchy Couture collection came out a year back, like, so let's say in 2018 or like early 2019, and then it came out in the Off-White collection, it would be more of a reason to believe that, oh, okay, he could have copied it. But I mean, 2 months, logistically, it doesn't make sense. And then also when you figure in trend forecasting, as well as people can just get their references from the same place. It happens. Like, how many times have you been in a classroom and teachers are going around the classroom asking people what your idea for a certain topic is, and you've had this idea in your head the whole time, and then someone, before the teacher can get to you, mentions that same idea that you had in your head. That just shows that people can actually come up with the same ideas and not even think of, oh, I'm going to copy that person or that person's copying me. It happens. So another example I have of terms where this isn't copying but it's cross-referencing is, so Virgil Abloh had a collaboration with Nike that I'm sure everyone is aware of, called the 10, where he had kind of like 10 silhouettes from Jordan, Nike and Converse, and he deconstructed and reconstructed them. And this idea we have seen on so many Comme des Garçons Nike shoes since Virgil Abloh did that with the 10. Now since then we've seen the Comme des Garçons Shox that had deconstruction. We've seen some shoes I own, quite recent, in the Comme des Garçons Homme collection. We saw the Comme des Garçons Air Max 95s that had a deconstructed silhouette. And then more recently, in Comme des Garçons' latest mainline collection, we've seen Air Force Ones, the Air Force One mids or highs, I think, and they also have a deconstructed design. Now, did Virgil Abloh copy Comme des Garçons? Did Comme des Garçons copy Virgil Abloh? So, as you can see, I can literally go on for days. I actually have 10 examples here, and I think people need to understand that, and I think people need to stop this whole narrative of Virgil Abloh copies every time, because this is a situation where he hasn't. but Diet Prada have reached for the skies to try and just discredit Virgil Abloh at every step. And I think people in fashion, they pick and choose who they like and who they dislike, and they don't judge collections on a case-by-case basis, which I think people should. So yeah, that's just one thing in the industry that really, I wouldn't say annoys me, but it's something that people need to improve on. And I think it's something that needs to be talked about a lot more. Obviously, there have been cases where Virgil Abloh has copied, and I've been the first person to say that. Like the Students collection, that was literally a carbon copy. But yeah, this is just not one of those situations. And Virgil Abloh has made strides. I think he's really improved. I like the collaboration he's had with Arc'teryx in his last collection. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next work that Virgil Abloh does. If I don't like what he does, his next collection, I'll be the first to say. If I like it, I'll be the first to say. If I feel like he copied something, I'll be the first to say. But in this situation, I feel like this is a reach, and I don't like the fact that people try to discredit Virgil Abloh for discredit's sake. If you're going to try and discredit him, at least discredit someone with more credible information and kind of do your research more. Like Diet Prada, they have had many situations where their research has been a bit naff, and this is definitely one of those situations. But yeah, if you disagree, if you agree, also comment down below what your thoughts are on kind of like Virgil Abloh's work, his recent work for Off-White and for Louis Vuitton. On that note, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know what videos you want to see next, and stay tuned for more videos.